त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव। श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तिसुदेशिकेन्द्रं द्वैपायनं सूत्रकृतं मुनीन्द्रं श्रीशङ्करं भाष्यकृतं यतीन्द्रं मद्देशिकञ्चापि नमामि विद्यै। ॐ नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्मविद्यासम्प्रदायकर्तृभ्यो वंशऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। सर्वोपप्लवरहितप्रज्ञानगणः प्रत्यगर्तो ब्रह्मैवाहमस्मि। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे पुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयः प्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्ससुधीर्भोक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। भीष्मद्रोणतटा जयद्रथजला गान्धारनीलोत्पला शल्यग्राहवती कृपेण वहनी कर्णेन वेलाकुला। अश्वत्थामविकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोतीर्णाः खलु पाण्डवैरणनदी कैवर्तकः केशवः। पाराशर्यवचः सरोजममलं गीतार्थघण्टोत्कटं नानाख्यानककेसरं हरिकथा सम्बोधनाबोधितं। लोके सज्जनषट्पदैरहरः पेपीयमानं मुधा भूयाद्भारतपङ्कजं कलिमल प्रध्वंसिन श्रेयसे। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवं। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः। ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। ओम कृष्णाय परमात्मने नमः। Pranams everyone. So in the last class we had started on chapter 13. We had started on the values, which was from basically Bhagavan had given a list of 20 values to Arjuna as part of a question that Arjuna had asked Bhagavan. At that point of time, Arjuna had asked the definition of 6 terms in this chapter. One of the terms was Jnanam. Jnanam was the term that was used by Arjuna, and Bhagavan gave a list of 20 values that he said would be required for a person to attain this Jnanam. And as I said, for this knowledge to get into our personality, for us to be able to get this knowledge as part of our personality for our day-to-day activities, having these qualities are important. Having these qualities, having these virtues as part of our personality is very important. So, and we also saw how we can actually imbibe these virtues. we talked about a few tips in terms of how to get these virtues imbibed. First of all, having an open mind, not actually saying that this value cannot be imbibed or this value will not work for the real world. Trying to fool ourselves to say that this is not a value that we should be imbibing is not the best way. Having an open mind, be able to accept that we don't have this value and we need to imbibe this value is the first and foremost thing that we have to do. And then also starting to look at what are the positives, what is the advantage, what is the benefit of having these values. By having these values, what is the gain that we are going to get is another way to actually to imbibe these values. We're not going to go into those tips again, but we'll go into the sloka again. And last week we had done one value. We did amanitvam. We'll go into the sloka. Shri Bhagavanuvacha amanitvam adhambitvam ahimsa kshantirarjavam acharyopasanam chaucham sthairyamatma vinigrahah. Amanitvam adhambitvam ahimsa kshantirarjavam acharyopasanam shaucham sthairyamatma vinigrahah. So first value that we saw was amanitvam. Amanitvam meaning humility, vinayam. This is the Shishya's primary quality, to have that humility while accepting this knowledge, while reading the Shastras, while listening to the Guru. This is very important. Amanitvam, because it is something that is hidden and we will not be able to see that very easily. Some people confuse amanitvam or manitvam. Some people confuse this manitvam with confidence. Confidence is different, manitvam is different. Manitvam is a state of superiority complex that we get within our mind, and sometimes that superiority complex that we get, we are not even aware of it. So first of all, for us, our mind should be tuned to be able to see this, and then once we actually realize that we should be able to get it out of the system. So this is manitvam. The second value that Bhagavan talks about here is adambitvam. Adambitvam, in English we can say simplicity. Amanitvam is humility. Adambitvam we can say simplicity. Dambitvam is basically the physically expressed version of manitvam. If I have manitvam and if I actually express it physically through my body language, through my attitude, through my words, through my act, then it is called as dambam. We use this term even in colloquial terms. He has got dambam. We use that word. Pretentious. That is called as dambitvam. So what we can also say that vyakta manitvam is dambitvam. Manitvam, vyakta means manifestation. The manifestation of manitvam is dambitvam. Avyakta dambitvam is manitvam. The unmanifest form of dambam is manitvam. So some people might have it in their mind but may not show it outside. So if they have it in their mind alone, then it is manitvam. If they show it, then it becomes manitvam and dambitvam. So this is a state where it is a state for persons who want to constantly talk about themselves. The way they want people to look at them, they want people to talk about them. And the idea is, and to get that to do, they do various things. Sometimes the way I conduct myself, for example, I dress dress in such a way that I become a head turner. Through my costumes, I try to get this attention. Through the jewelry that I wear, I want to get attention. I want people to ask about the jewelry that I purchase, I have on my neck. So this is all dambitva. Or sometimes the way I walk, people would want to see me, should see me. Being on the center stage always, trying to gain attention. That is all kind of dambam. To basically attract comments. That is all called dambam. For today's example, we can say Facebook. To get more attention, people do a lot of things on Facebook to be able to be the center of attention. This is dambam. Some people do volunteering, but even for volunteering, they want to be recognized, so they keep going on stage to make it clear to others that they are actually working. They are working behind the scenes, and they are the ones who are responsible for putting together that show. So this is all dambam. So where else, or what are the areas where we could get this dambam? Vesham, through our dress, vesham, or through bhasha. Bhasha meaning the language, the way we speak. That is one way to say, I am so and so, I can do this. That kind of self-praise, bhasha. Then gunam, the way we behave. Then dambam can also come out of jnanam. I have read so much, I know so much. That is also dambam. And some people do through dhanam also. So they give charity, and while giving charity, they want the whole world to know. They want everybody to know that they have done charity. That is also another way of dambam. Showing off. We can also say showing off. So showing off our good habits, our good values is also called as dambitvam. So it is dambam. So dambam is bad. But why should dambam be bad? Because we do it to get people to look at ourselves with awe or respect. We want them to give us that respect. But what happens? It is sometimes counterproductive. So instead of actually gaining respect, when we do too much of dambam, we will be mocked at. We will be made fun of. Not in front of us. In front of us, they might still do the stuti or praise, but at back they will talk ill. And actually we will lose respect. So dambam is not a great way to gain respect. Another thing about dambam is, spiritually, when we have done a good deed, like a dhanam or a tapas, and if we go on bragging about that, then Shastra says we will lose the punyam that we would have otherwise gained by doing that good deed. So if we do a dhanam or do a tapas and then we go around saying that I did this, I did that, we lose the punyam, and therefore by losing the punyam, we will lose getting the chitta shuddhi. Chitta shuddhi, the clean mind. We will lose it. The phalam, the purpose for which we had done the dhanam, the purpose for which we had done the tapas would be lost. It doesn't mean that one should run away from praise. If somebody is praising, it is okay. I mean, you need not. That is not. I mean, accepting that praise or not accepting it is. We are not talking about that. We should not go around seeking for praise. That is called as dhamma. If praise comes on its own, it is fine. But going hunting for this kind of accolades is wrong. So how to practice this adambitvam? Number one, simple living. practice simple living, have awareness about whatever we are doing, whatever we are wearing, whatever possessions we are carrying, whatever words we are using, have that awareness. At no point of time we should be coming around as bragging or showing off or doing things. Second thing is not talking about oneself. Problem is today everybody wants to talk only about themselves. We want to talk only about myself, self, and everybody wants to do that same. So there are not enough listeners actually. Luckily in Facebook and all, whatever I post, it's only that I get to speak. So we don't expect any conversation there, and that's why probably it's very successful. So having this bragging, doing this bragging is not talking about oneself is one way to reduce this dhamma. We can at least stop it from through words we can stop. Then the third thing is we should hide our tapas, whatever austerities we do. Say for example, we do daily japa, or we do daily parayana, we do daily puja. All those tapas, we need not show, we need not give it to, we need not let others know, I am doing this, I am doing that. We need not let others know. So hiding the tapas, hiding our dhanam, whatever charity we are doing, or any other good virtues that we have, we can hide them. It is not necessary for us to let others know. Ultimately, this is only between us and Ishvara. It is never about two persons. So generally what happens is, normally we try to hide our bad habits or vices. We don't want others to know about our bad habits or our vices. And we would want to only show off that we are good, we are nice, we do these things, we want to show off. Shastra says it is good to hide what we value. So if we value something, it is better to hide. For example, when we have valuables at home, we have gold or diamond, we keep them away from others' eyes, right? We don't let people know that I have this in my house. So in the same way, it is good to keep our good values within us. On the other hand, we should be open in discussing our weaknesses, because it helps to be self-critical. It helps for us to reflect and change. So this adambitvam is the second value that Bhagavan brings up. Amanitvam, adambitvam. So adambitvam, amanitvam. Let's look at the third value. Amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa. Ahimsa is the third value. Himsa means hurting others. Ahimsa means not hurting others. And Shastra says ahimsa is Mahavratam. Mahavratam means it is one of the topmost virtue. Ahimsa paramo dharma, our Shastra says. And ahimsa means not hurting. Hurting through what? Hurting should not be done at all three levels. We can possibly hurt others at three levels. What is it? Mano, vak, kaya. Through our mind, we can think ill of others. So that is mano. Then vak, through words, we abuse others, we criticize others. That's vak. Kaya is physical, through body. This himsa should not be done at any of these three levels. Remember, we discussed in that Yoga Shastra there are yama and niyama. 5 yamas and 5 niyamas. The first yama is ahimsa there. So ahimsa is kind of very important. And today physical abuse is much reduced in the world, not much. But this vak is very high. The biggest himsa creating instrument in this world is actually the mouth. Mouth is the biggest creator of himsa. Doing himsa will cause papa. It will cause papa, and which means himsa, if we do physically, it will give us papa. If we do through our mouth also, it will give papa. Even ahita chintanam, if I actually think bad, ill of others, or actually do himsa in through my mind, even that will give papa. Mentally cursing somebody is also himsa. So in Tamil we say nasama pogatam, we say think, do. Those things are also will cause or create papa for us. There are people who do, bring black magic to this, what is known as in Sena Yagam is there. They do a Sena Yagam to hurt people. Those things are really, really bad. We should not even think of doing those things. So this is ahimsa. This ahimsa, what is the glory of this ahimsa is, see, each ashrama has certain Vishesha Dharma attached to it. We have already seen during the introduction to Vedanta. Every ashrama, Brahmacharya ashrama, Grahastha ashrama, Vanaprastha ashrama, Sannyasa ashrama, every ashrama has got some Vishesha Dharmas are attached to it. Similarly, each Varna has also some Vishesha Dharma. Brahmana Varna has got some Vishesha Dharma. Kshatriya has got a Vishesha Dharma. Vaishya has got Vishesha Dharma. And Shudra has got Vishesha Dharma. Now this Sannyasa ashrama, the Sannyasa ashrama's primary dharma is ahimsa. If somebody is taking up sannyasa, they take up the vrata of ahimsa. So in fact, when a sannyasi takes ochre robes, when a person becomes a sannyasi, he has to do a homam called Vraja Homam. That Vraja Homam, when he does, he takes a vow to say that he will follow ahimsa. So ahimsa is very important. So anyone who wants to attain moksha, anyone who wants to attain liberation is required to follow ahimsa. It is an important virtue. All virtues are important. Ahimsa is very important. Now if you look at the reasons why we are not able to follow ahimsa, why is it that we are not able to follow ahimsa? Or why do we do himsa? In fact, in Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna will ask Krishna once. He will say, why do people knowingly, willingly do papam? And Krishna will give an answer. We will see that soon. But we will look into here why people are not able to follow ahimsa. Why do we do ahimsa? First and foremost reason is dvesham. Dvesham means hatred. And dvesham is cultivated. It is cultivated within ourselves. We initially don't have raga dvesham, but slowly over a period of time, we build it up. We build hatred or a dislike for someone or something. So over a period of time, it gets accumulated and it becomes bigger and bigger. We would have nourished it. We would have fed it with more thoughts that would have made the dvesham stronger. And this dvesham will get expressed in the form of himsa. Typically, you just need a small prick, and then that dvesham will come out as himsa, either as physically, verbally, or at least mentally. So this is the number one reason, dvesham. That's why Bhagavan says in one of the slokas in Gita, he will say, what is the quality of a jnani? He will say, Adveshta Sarvabhutanam. Adveshta, one who doesn't have dvesham for any being or any creature in this world. Adveshta Sarvabhutanam. Adveshta Sarvabhutanam Maitra Karuna Evacha. That is the slokam. So this Dvesham is the primary reason. The second reason is Krodham. See, Dvesham also will manifest as Krodham. But there are certain times when there is no Dvesham, but there is only Krodham. And that Krodham means anger. This anger also manifests as Himsa. For example, we may not have Dvesham, but we may lose patience with some people. And that actually comes out as anger. And that anger is again manifested as Himsa. Sometimes what happens is this anger we get sometimes on people whom we love also, or we are attached to. And sometimes that anger comes out as Himsa, and then sooner or later we will then realize actually we should not have done that to that person. So it will give us double sorrow. One, because we have done it, and the two is that we shouldn't have done to that person. So this is the second reason why we do Himsa. The third reason is, it's a bit subtle. It's called Pratikriya. Pratikriya, it's Sukshma. Pratikriya means what Shastra says is hurt people hurt. A person who has experienced hurt or pain or sorrow in their life, they tend to hurt others as well. It stays as a script within our mind just because we had experienced hurt or pain in our life, and that gets reflected as hurt or pain to the others as well. So if a person who has actually been poor and has had a difficult life in the past, if he gets money, he doesn't treat the poor well. He doesn't want to treat the poor well because he has been treated badly, and he wants to do the same to the others as well. Psychologists say it is the same with hurt also. There is a kind of a revenge feeling. There is a revenge feeling for hurt people, that they get a feeling of satisfaction and happiness. That's a fleeting feeling that when they are able to express that themselves, they are able to give it back to the society. So this is Pratikriya. That's why you can see also. But what they don't understand is when they do that, it actually takes them deeper to sorrow. It is not a solution. It just takes them deeper to sorrow. If we understand this subtly, we will be able to understand when we are actually, so every time we are hurting others, we just need to pause, reflect, and see, why are we hurting others? Is it because I have Dvesham? Is it because of the Krodham? Or is it because of Pratikriya? What is this reason why I'm hurting others? We'll have to reflect. So, Pratikriya we've seen. One example of this Pratikriya, a daughter-in-law becoming mother-in-law, and then she actually trying to, give the same problems to her daughter-in-law because she had actually gone through some pain or sorrow. So this is very common. Whatever we experience, we try to give it back. So this is common. So if we experience love, we will be able to give love to the world. So for us to be able to stop himsa, or for us to be able to reflect and stop or not get this vice, or be able to follow ahimsa, we'll have to reflect, we'll have to pause, we'll have to reflect. We need to find out what is the reason why we are getting it and doing it. So one is dvesham, then krodham, pratikriya. The other reason, as I said, is carelessness. Sometimes we do it through a slip of tongue. We don't intend to say anything bad, but we do it just as a slip of tongue. Vak himsa. Sometimes it comes, some people use certain words very frequently, which are not necessarily right words to use, but that comes out. And for some, they think it is fashion, but that sometimes results in hurting others. So that is carelessness. Another reason why we do himsa. Of course, the other one is lack of patience. I talked about lack of patience. And then the sixth one is not able to forgive. So somebody has done something wrong to me, and I'm not able to forgive that person. I give it back. I do give it back, as in I actually do himsa to that person. So this is himsa, why we do himsa. Now the question is himsa accepted? Is hurting others accepted? If so, when is it accepted? Himsa is accepted only in two places, two types of himsa is accepted. One, when we are able to avert a bigger himsa. When we are able to avert a bigger himsa, then a small himsa is accepted. For example, an analogy can be like, patient goes to the doctor because of whatever, high sugar or whatever. The doctor amputates the finger or the toe to avoid the limb itself being amputated. So a small himsa to avert a bigger himsa. So a small himsa is accepted only when we are in a position to avert a bigger himsa. The second one is during tapas. Tapas is when we are doing a kind of a self-inflicted control himsa. We are doing some himsa to ourselves, but it is self-inflicted, and two, it should be in a controlled manner. It cannot be in a manner where the body is not able to take it. Suppose if we have acidity, we cannot be following Ekadashi Vrata. That will actually create problems for us. So for the body. So the himsa should be in a controlled manner. But it should be, and if it is self-inflicted for the purpose of tapas, then that himsa is allowed. Otherwise, himsa towards one's own body itself is not accepted. That's why suicide is considered a papa in our, according to our scriptures. Suicide is not accepted. So ahimsa. And why do we need to follow ahimsa? First of all, it is one of the universal laws. That is, if I violate dharma, when I do hurt to others, it is as good as hurting myself. Because I've told you in the last class also, when we actually rub ourselves, when we feel itchy, the back is itchy, and I want to rub my back against a hard, thick bark of a tree, a well-grown tree. Maybe for the first rub it might be soothing, but then it will actually soon, I will be feeling this redness and I will feel that burning. So when I do himsa to anybody, it will come back. It will come back to me. So the world is a bank. So whatever I deposit, I will withdraw. So it is better not to do himsa. Because one of the we saw that Samanya Dharma, when we discussed about Samanya Dharma, we saw how is the Samanya Dharma? Whatever I expect from others, that I should be able to give it to others. Or whatever I don't expect or whatever I don't want from others, I should not give it to others. So nobody should hurt me is my expectation. My expectation is that nobody should hurt me. Therefore, everybody has the same expectation, isn't it? So I should not be hurting others as well. And the question is, how do I follow ahimsa? How do I follow ahimsa? Number one, expectations management. Himsa, it seems very natural. It seems very natural when anyone does not behave according to my expectations. If they don't behave according to my expectations, I generally tend to get unhappy. Unhappiness tends to go into anger, and that anger goes into himsa. So himsa becomes natural when somebody does not meet my expectations. And what happens generally as we grow, what we have seen is our expectations not only increase, but they also start getting finer and finer. I tell somebody that I want, blue color saree or a green color saree, and I want that particular shade of blue or green. And if I don't get it, I get unhappy. Then I start abusing. So the expectations is the cause of many a times for me to not being able to follow himsa. So the first and foremost is manage my expectations. So if I'm managing my expectations, I will be able to follow ahimsa. The second one is having a sensitive mind. My himsa can stop if my mind becomes sensitive. If my mind becomes sensitive in the sense I am able to feel the pain of others, I'm able to empathize, then an empathetic mind will tend not to do himsa to others. So develop a sensitive mind. The third one is, as I said, the awareness. This Vedanta knowledge is very important. So if I decide that I want to get this Vedanta knowledge, this knowledge is going to give me freedom from sorrow. If this knowledge is going to give me freedom from sorrow, if I truly believe in it, then I will follow ahimsa. Because then my question is whether doing himsa, this short-term gain is important for me, or the long-term gain of this freedom from sorrow, this eternal happiness. What do I want? So this awareness that I am here, I am in this world seeking liberation, if that kind of knowledge is in the back of my mind, always I will be able to avoid situations where I may have to do himsa. I will try to get away from those situations, or I will not do himsa. I will develop patience. So this is ahimsa. So we have seen so far 3 values: amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa. Now the fourth one is shanti. Shanti. It's not shanti, it's kshanti. Shanti has got 2 meanings. One is called titiksha. Titiksha. The second is kshama. Kshama. So Shanti has got 2 meanings, titiksha and kshama. Titiksha means mental resistance, we can say mental resistance or we can say forbearance. Actually, titiksha also has got two meanings. One is forbearance and the other one is patience. Forbearance or endurance. The other one is patience. And then kshama means, you would have heard, kshamikanam. We say forgiveness. So we will see both titiksha as well as kshama then. So instead of kshanti, we will see titiksha and kshama. What is titiksha? Titiksha means, as I said, endurance or forbearance. Endurance what? In this life, the world, whatever it has to offer, it is all in the form of pair of opposites. There is dvandam. We say dvandam in life. Everything comes as pair of opposites. There is heat and cold. There is pain and pleasure. There is joy and sorrow. There is manam and apamanam, basically praise and apaman. So all these comes as pairs. Especially this pain and sorrow, that pain and pleasure, and joy and sorrow. If we look at those things, this pain, sorrow, these difficulties.
Your voice is breaking.
My voice is breaking. Is it okay now? Is it okay now? Pain and
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, it's okay.
Okay.
Okay. This pain and sorrow, to take up this pain and sorrow requires a lot of endurance. And we will have to, those difficulties that we face in our life, we should be able to endure them. We should be able to forbear them. In fact, pain sometimes is inevitable. When we get physically hurt, or when we get old, our knee joints pain, our back aches, our head aches. That is when we come to know of all the body parts, actually, when we get old, that these parts really exist in our body. Otherwise, we would have taken all these for granted throughout our life. So when this pain comes, this pain is inevitable. But sorrow is optional. Whether I want to get sorrow, whether I want to feel sorrow, whether I want to feel sad about it, is something that I make the call. But whatever it is, the situation can create sorrowful situation for me. There are painful situations. When those difficulties come, titiksha is about taking that without any complaints, without that polambal. In Tamil we say polambaral, that feeling that I have got this, I shouldn't have been getting this. Some people go through that acceptance, but with lot of complaints. So Shastra says apratikara purvakam. Apratikaraka purvakam, if I am able to accept this pain, sorrow and difficulties, that is titiksha. For example, some people, when they get a small headache, they will get a small headache. That's all. That small headache is good enough for them to spread it to the entire family. They will start complaining about so many things, that I have got a headache, and the whole family will now be having headache. So that is actually that is because that they don't have enough titiksha. So when we get a headache, we have to just understand, okay, thankfully I have a head, and therefore I get a ache. Okay, so first headache is there. Okay, I have to give it some time. Allow it to, whatever I need to do, I have to do. Take a tablet or whatever it is, allow it to give the time for it to go through. So not allowing the time for it to actually subside, or immediately after taking medicine expecting it to go away, that will happen only in the advertisement, because in 15 seconds that person takes a tablet, the headache goes, the cold goes, everything is possible, because the advertisements are only for 15 seconds. Cannot expect in day-to-day life. So this titiksha is about endurance. And Ishvara says, nobody can escape from pain and sorrow. If you are born in this world, you will have to go through pain and sorrow. And pain, generally what happens is, when we are young, we are able to withstand pain. Young kids, if you see, even when we were young, or today's young kids, when they actually fall down or get injured while playing, they will just get up and start playing again. They wouldn't bother about it. But as we grow older, what happens? Our resistance to pain becomes lesser and lesser. The body doesn't take it. So we have to practice it. So practicing titiksha is important. Sorrow. When we are talking about sorrow, we have to understand life is full of uncontrollable situations. Most of the situations in our lives are choiceless. We do not choose. We sometimes think we have done the choice, but many a times it just happens. What happens is, sometimes we don't even realize that we have not chosen it, that just because it's actually to our liking or it is not against our desire, we think that it is a situation we have chosen. So many a times life is full of uncontrollable situations, choiceless situations. And Bhagavan says, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, it says, apariharya artha. There is no pariharam. There is no, I do not have any control on it. Aparihara atte. Choiceless situations. Life is full of them. Accept it. Acceptance will give us better control over ourselves. So titiksha is about acceptance. And we have to remember, most of the times many of the people, they are not able to accept the past. They still live in the past. The entire past is over. There is nothing we can do. Even Ishvara cannot come and change the past. We have to understand that. There is nothing that can be done in the past. Whatever has gone, gone. Past is choiceless. So the mind has to accept it. Whatever has happened, some people say, I still cannot accept what she did the other day, or what that person did to me the other day. I will not be able to accept it even now. I don't know why that person did that to me. Question is, it doesn't matter. It has gone past. Just get over it. So this is important. It is for our benefit. Shastra says that. It is for us to say that. We need not tell the other person that I have gotten over it to you, or it is not for it is only to ourselves we need to be making clear. So this is titiksha. Another thing we need to realize is, whenever we want to follow any good values, or whenever we want to do any good activities, whenever we want to do some good work, that is when we face difficulties. Especially when we want to do some good karma, that is when we face difficulties. When we want to do some service, when we want to do some help to somebody, that is when we face difficulties. It is designed that way. Understand that. So just accept it. Endurance is important. Forbearance is important. And if we cannot overcome this difficulty, we cannot achieve anything. So having this endurance is very important. So one of the things is, we have to get used to these difficulties. And that is why in our Shastras, there is all these rituals that are prescribed. that dhyanam, that japam, or doing this puja, sitting cross-legged for 1 hour or 2 hours, 3 hours doing a puja or a japam is not easy. The legs will start paining. Our mind will start wandering. Our body will start looking for some support. So this is all giving some difficulties so that we are used to facing some difficulties and pain so that we are able to get titiksha. And this japam is very important. Japam, initially it will be a difficult one. Initially it will be difficult to actually control the mind and put it and start doing japam. But once we are able to do this japam, it might even turn into a good addiction. We'll be able to do japam. Then initially it will be difficult. Then we will be moving into that zone of where we are calm, where we are able to seek pleasure within ourselves. We will be able to do this. So this titiksha is very important. Some people look for, pariharam when they encounter difficulties. Life is really turning bad. Things have not been going well for the last few years. There have been so many issues in the family. So people turn to some parihara. They visit astrologer, they visit some temples, all these things. And most of the time it is because we don't have enough titiksha. And so there is no end to this also. When we actually start looking for parihara, there is no end. Bhagavan says aparihare. There is no pariharam for many of the things, choiceless situation. So if we want to focus spiritually, we should start avoiding doing prayashrita karma. We do this prayashrita karma, all these pariharas, we should stop doing those or reduce them slowly and focus on doing satkarma without expecting anything in return. So this is for titiksha. Question is, how can I follow titiksha? Easy first one is right knowledge, get that jnanam. See, when do we confusion, when does confusion happens? Confusion happens only when there is a choice. Only when there are two options, when there are two universities for application, when there are two jobs to take, when there are two items that I can cook, that is when confusion comes. So wherever there is a choice, there is confusion. I should start having this conviction or attitude. I should start having this attitude that I don't have a choice with regards to what I am going through. I should say I don't have a choice with regards to what I'm going through, whether be it the people or the circumstances. I just will go through. Remember, it's not about not making an effort to change the circumstance or people. If there are people around me, if there are circumstances that I can attempt to change, where I have the ability to change, I should attempt it. Shastra says, never says do not attempt to change it. It says attempt it wherever it's possible. But once you attempt it, whatever be the outcome, whether you've been able to change or not change, accept it. At that point of time, don't think that, oh, my attempt has gone. If we attempt it and if we fail, it becomes double problem. One, already the situation is choiceless. Two, my attempt is also failed. So I am also unhappy with myself also. So that shouldn't happen. So we attempt and then accept. Attempt wherever possible, whatever possible, but accept whatever be the outcome. And this mind being able to accept things, accept the people as they are, accept the circumstances as they are is very important. Because remember, the next Janma, the next birth, we are going to carry the same mind. We will not be taking the same body, but we will be definitely taking the same mind. So developing this attitude within our mind is very important. So this is having that knowledge, when to accept, when to attempt, that is important. The second one is abhyasam, practice. As I said, going through pain or difficulties, we will have to develop patience. So we should identify and practice them. That's why in our culture we have had all some of this. It's got multiple benefits. Suppose if we talk about Ekadashi Vratam, it's got multiple benefits. One is actually gives rest to the system. Two is actually able to live without food for some time. Even when desirous objects come in front of us, we are not tempted, and we are able to focus ourselves on Ishvara. We are able to offer this as our puja to Ishvara. We are getting punya. A lot of these benefits are there. So when we go for Tirtha Yatra, Pada Yatra, so it's difficult. When people go to Sabarimala, they take this difficult path. It's all to actually develop endurance, to develop patience. And when we go for Tirtha Yatra, Pada Yatra, when we go to temple, we are not willing to wait to see Bhagavan. We are always in a hurry. We become easily restless. So all this Yatra, Tirtha Yatra, Upavasa, it's all built. These are like vaccinations, small doses that we have to inject within ourselves to be able to face the bigger difficulties and problems when we grow old. So this titiksha is important. Practicing titiksha is important. Titiksha is needed even in Laukika life. In our material world also it's needed. Whether it be in corporates or in kitchens or with regards to in-laws and others, we need it. So this is titiksha. As I said, we are looking at Shanti. Shanti has got titiksha and Kshama. Titiksha we saw so far. Kshama, we will see it in the next class. Any questions or comments? Because last week I thought apparently there was a question asked in the chat. I didn't notice it. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Guruji, if you can respond to that last week's one, please.
I didn't see the question at all. So if a person could actually repeat that, it would be useful. Does anybody remember what was the question asked last week?
Ashish ji had asked something about like we are all competing to do better in life. So how does Amanitvam come into the picture? It was something like that. I'm not very sure of that.
Yeah.
Ashish ji, can you repeat it? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. I'll just do that. So actually I was just saying that, Amanitvam is such a difficult thing to practice because all of us are kind of trained to compete and excel, right?
Yeah.
And because of that fact, it is very natural to, as a result of that, it is very natural to have that man, that manitvam in us. So how to actually get out of that? I remember when we had started the previous class also 3 years back, I had this question, and it's one of the most difficult things, honestly, for all of us to kind of imbibe.
Yeah, I mean, it is not about not having confidence. Sometimes we take that, the having that manitvam is actually the equivalent of confidence. So that is the problem. Sometimes we don't differentiate between what is confidence and what is this superiority complex. So there is a line there. Sometimes we go to the other side to say that this is confidence. So confidence oozing out is superiority complex. And in the competing world, as you rightly said, whether it is whether it is sports or all this corporate world, where it is all about competing, it is very difficult to be confident and then say, okay, I'm confident, but I will not show off, or I will not have the superiority complex. It is indeed difficult, but again, as I said, it is for an internal growth that we have to look at. We have to make a choice. Okay, if I want to grow spiritually, then there are certain qualities that I will have to imbibe, which may not be very conducive to my corporate material world. Okay, we have to make a choice on that. So it is up to the individual, but one can be confident without having that superiority complex. The complex of neither having a superiority nor having inferiority is the right way. Do not look down on others. Do not have this feeling that I am superior to others. I am confident in whatever I am doing. I will try to help whatever way I can. I will do the best in whatever way I can. Is being quietly confident. That's still possible. How do we do it? One is to say that, first of all, understand that everything is whatever we gain in this life, whether be it money, people, relations, everything is temporary. Either they are going to leave us or we are going to leave them. We are not going to take anything to our next life. On Tamil Patinathar, the saint used to say, Kadaranda Usiyum Varadu Kadavadi Tane. Even a broken needle will not come to me through my next life. So we have to understand that everything is temporary. Whatever we are gaining here as possessions, or I have a big house, I have a big car, I have my job, whatever I have, it's all temporary. So I have to understand that. And even if I have to take them as Ishvara Prasada. It's Vibhuti of Ishvara. It has been given to me by Ishvara as I am a trustee. I hold this for some time, for some purpose. And I will do it to the best of my ability without having this feeling that I have got it. But instead, I should start believing that Ishvara has bestowed upon me. And if I start having that attitude, we will not have Manitvam. It's difficult, but it can come over a period of time. It has to come over. We'll have to understand, first of all, it's all about self-reflection to understand where we have this superiority complex. List them out, where we have this inferiority complex or superiority complex, list them out and try to work on it individually. Where we find generally superior. Is it because that we have studied our knowledge? Is it because of the wealth? Is it because of the job? Is it because of the power that I wield? Is it because of the beauty that I have, the youth I have? Is it because of the possessions that I have, that I feel this, that I am superior? I will have to realize that, and I will have to start looking them upon as Ishvara Vibhuti. Ishvara has given it to me. I am just a trustee for this life, and I will do the best of my ability. Okay. Hari Om. Any other question or points? Okay. If not, we will see it we'll see in the next class. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Swasti Prajabhyah Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mayishaha गोब्राह्मणेभ्यो शुभमस्तु नित्यं लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः
हरि ओम
हरि ओम.